friends. Welcome to the Creative Impact Podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Caldwell, and I'm so happy you're here. Each episode, I take some time to chat with fellow artists about life, faith, and the impact of the arts. Hey everyone, welcome to episode 66 of the Creative Impact Podcast. I'm so excited that you're joining me today. If you're new to the show, thank you so much for listening, and I hope you connect in with us on our Instagram or our Facebook at Creative Impact Podcast. And I invite you to subscribe to the show wherever you listen to podcasts. That way, every single episode that releases will be ready and waiting for you. We have a great conversation in store for you today with my friend, Grace Miller. Grace and I both attended Belhaven University, but not at the same time. So it was so fun to get to connect with her and learn more about her journey. Grace joined Open Sky Arts Collective in the fall of 2019. She's currently the executive assistant for the director and founder of Open Sky, Jeanna Vance. Grace is a kindred spirit, and she just brings so much life and peace and joy wherever she goes. Today we talk about a lot of different topics ranging from dance as worship, community and what that looks like in our lives, as well as leadership and some of the lies and insecurities that we can kind of struggle with in a position of leadership. She talks about how to fight those lies and how to live in a place of freedom and just walking in our purpose. I can't wait for you to meet Grace today, so enjoy this conversation with Grace Miller. I'm super excited to be with you, Grace. This is so much fun.
Me too. It is. Thank you.
Yes. So it's super fun that I feel like you're one of those people that I've heard lots about and had all these mutual connections. And then we actually got to meet in person at Whitney's wedding, which was super fun. Yeah. Yes. And that was great. Such a great moment.
I feel that way about you too. It's just barely missing each other on the connection points and then finally a real meeting.
Exactly. Finally. So it's really fun to get to catch up and kind of hear how things are going with you since I saw you there. And just curious to have you introduce yourself to our listeners and just a little bit about who you are and what you're up to now. And then we'll kind of dive a little deeper into what your journey has been up to this point.
Sure. Yeah. Sounds great. So I am currently the executive assistant of Jeanna Vance, who's the director of Open Sky Arts Collective.
Yes.
And I've been a part of the company for, 3 years now.
Oh, wow. So, that's awesome.
Yeah, I've kind of started as a dancer and then just was able to carry some more responsibility, and they honored me a lot, which I'm super grateful for, and just the things that they've given me and that she's entrusted me with. So.
That is so cool. That's awesome. Yeah. And it feels like not that long ago in a way that
I know
you started with Open
2020 Sky. Happened in the middle of it all. So it kind of time got weird.
I keep saying that. I'm like, time is just weird right now. So it's just a little strange. Yeah. Well, I'm so curious to hear what first drew you to dance and kind of what got you into the dance world to start.
Yeah. Well, I, as so many dancers would say, have been dancing since I was 3 or 4. Mm-hmm. And really it's the only thing that I've ever done, which as a kid, there are other kids that are trying different things, different activities. And I was never interested in anything else. I had my one track mind and felt really passionate about it. So I, grew up until I was 9. We lived in Birmingham, Alabama, and I danced at Briarwood Ballet under Ken Tolley. I know he's in the Christian dance world. It's so funny hearing all of these names now as I'm an adult and thinking, oh my gosh, I was just a kid and didn't even know all of the things that these people had done who were paving the way for me to walk into. Mm-hmm. So he was one of them. And then I moved to Tennessee, to Cookeville, Tennessee, and started dancing with the Center School of Dance, which was at that point Cathedral Oaks Dance Arts. And it was just this school that was started from a homeschool program.
Oh, cool.
And then they branched off into their own dance program, and they were just cultivated in the arts and in worship. And so that's where I started really getting more knowledge about how dance and worship are the same. And how they, work together and how the Holy Spirit moves through them. So that was a huge part of my childhood, and the Lord just stayed so near to me. And I'm thankful for the consistent knowledge of his nearness. Of course, he's always near.
Yeah.
But sometimes we're less aware of it.
Right. Yeah. It's kind of that, I don't know, almost like not a fight always, but staying very present and aware.
Yeah.
Or staying aware of his presence. There we go. So that sometimes can be a struggle. So that's really cool.
Yeah. I'm thankful for our community that was just rich in all of that, that it was just a church body and an arts body of really deep spiritual roots of worship. And I was just surrounded by that all the time.
I'd love to kind of camp there for a second, just the idea of dance and worship and how, like you said, they are one thing. And I would just love to hear more about what that experience was like for you, kind of growing up in that, what it looked like, and then how that has, I don't know, maybe like evolved over time, as you've gone through your dance career, I guess.
Yeah. I remember the very first time I danced in church, and there were several dancers that were older than me that went to the same church, and it was super tiny, small body, small building, but extravagant in the spirit. And I would watch them move during worship at the front or in the back or anywhere around the space. And there was one day that my heart was racing, and I felt like, I think I can do that too. I really want to, because I was admiring them, these people that were huge examples to me. And then one of them turned around and like beckoned me to come with them. Like, come on, you want to come? And so I went up there with them. I was probably 10, and it changed the way that I saw worship, because it was, I knew that you used your dance for worship, but like as a gift, giving it back to the Lord, because it started as a gift that he gave to you.
Yes. Yeah.
And so from then on, I felt so passionate about that being my goal, and was to give my dance back to the Lord. And since then, I've had so many different experiences of what that looks like in the church, in the dance world, in the convention world, in all of these different places, in the professional world, collegiate world, just how important it is, and how, especially as someone who's working with your body all the time, how recognizing it as a temple, and where I grew up with the mindset of being the most excellent that it could be. Like if we're giving this to the Lord, we want it to be the very best that we can muster. And so that was instilled in me from a really young age, with the mindset of worship and excellence and gift giving, and returning it back to the Lord as a sacrifice and surrender. So I had many impactful moments of being surrounded by other people who were doing that as well. And then I was able to pour it back into kids that I have taught, and living that out, as a professional, and entering into that surrendered place of, okay, Lord, I'm trusting you with this gift that you've given me. And in that act of sacrifice, giving it back to him, and then he gives it back more than you could ever ask or imagine, because he's kind.
Which is so awesome, because I think sometimes it can be scary to in a sense, let go of it in a way, like to offer that.
Totally.
Yeah. That can be easy to kind of try to hold it to ourselves, or like, I don't want to let go because he may not give it back, or he may, something may change or whatever. And it's just really cool hearing your experience and kind of hearing God's heart through that of like, he's going to bless it when he gives it back,
Yes.
Change probably for the better, if anything. So that's so cool. I love that. Yeah. And I'm sure we'll probably get more into aspects of it as we go through our conversation. But I know you also attended Belhaven. I think you mentioned that earlier, which is so fun that we have like mutual connections there and just such a wonderful place. Yeah. Just curious, what brought you to Belhaven and then kind of what was your experience like there?
Yeah. I had a couple people from my home studio who went to Belhaven before me. And this is funny. I went to visit there when I was 11 to see one of them performing and just took a road trip with another friend. And
that's so cool.
So the Lord's so funny how he does stuff like that.
Yeah.
I remember meeting Laura Morton. I'm sure she doesn't remember me, but in that moment I was like a tiny kid. But that's so funny. So then that was just in my mind for a long time. And I went through this, what am I supposed to do with my life? Graduating high school. Maybe I'll just do something that everyone else says is real and okay and valid and go to some kind of PT school because then I can incorporate dance somehow. But then I thought, no, I'm supposed to be dancing.
Yeah.
Why am I trying to justify my life to the people who say that, oh, you should do something different than dance, don't get your degree in dance? So I auditioned at Belhaven, and that's the only place that I went because
cool.
I auditioned pretty early in the season, and then I just knew it's like going to a place where you feel so confident that that's where you're supposed to be. I had that feeling. Kind of sounds cheesy, but when you experience that, exactly.
Yes, I understand because I feel like I had that same experience visiting Belhaven. It was like, this is it. This is where I'm supposed to be, and so I totally had my mind set on a different school. Well, set-ish, but I had kind of dreamt about like, oh, this will be, really great. And I visited both and it was just like Belhaven. I don't know. Just like you said, it just felt right. It felt like, okay, this is it.
Yeah. So
I totally feel that.
Yeah. So my time there was so wonderful. It was rich and I learned, of course, a ton, and the opportunities that I was able to have were huge. And sometimes I think about the things that I was able to do and the people I was able to connect with and wonder if it was actually real.
Yeah.
Because it was such a gift and an honor to be able to say that that's where I came from. I remember graduating feeling so proud, saying that this is where I've been.
That's so cool. I love that.
Yeah, being a part of that family. And then people like you, and then like all of these other Belhaven family members, it just cultivates that kind of atmosphere and that pride and connection.
Yes.
So yeah, I grew a ton as an artist, as a worshiper, as a thinker. Like that was where my brain as a dancer grew, because really it was just my body and spirit before that was thriving. And then going to college and then realizing how many things you can incorporate into dancing and the professionalism of it, especially towards the end of my time there. Just the way that they train you to enter into the real world your last 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We've got air quotes going on.
You see that. Yeah, I felt really grateful for the preparation of that, because, you're taking these classes like production, where you're learning how to create like shows and learning how to work with lighting and, sets and things like that, that in the moment you're thinking, I'm never going to use any of this. But actually, I'm using that all the time in my life right now. So I'm really thankful that they set up a program where it prepares you for all of the different things that you can do as a dancer.
Yes, I totally agree. It's so funny because I think it was, last year we ended up doing our end of the year show in a gym because, typically it's in an auditorium, but it was under construction being renovated. And so we were in a gym and we like borrowed curtains to just like pipe and drape to put up and then rented lights. And I'm like calling Tiffany Schrepferman, like, what do I do?
Yeah.
But it was, so helpful to have at least a little bit of a baseline understanding. And I'm like, I wish I had like taken better notes or kept my notes. Because it's like,
there's always those moments
when you're not using it, you kind of start to lose some of the,
right.
all of that knowledge, but it's true. It's like, you never know what you're going to use. And they definitely had a really well-rounded experience there. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And I know even now as technology and things are growing and shifting, they're working with that. And
that's cool. Yeah.
The students there now, I am getting further away from them, in age, but I'm hearing things that are making me even more proud. Like, oh, good job, Bellhaven. Yes. Way to go, dance department. Yeah.
That's so cool. Yeah. It's kind of crazy how fast it does turnover though. Not turnover, but like, where it's like, it's 4 years. And so, after a little bit, you're like, I don't know anyone there. Exactly. But like you said, it's kind of this beautiful family where even if you've never met the person, kind of like me and you, it's like we had never met, but it's like you kind of already have this baseline of like, but we're family because we both have been through that experience, and part of that community. So so cool. I love that.
Me too.
Any like highlight moments that when you think back on your time there?
Well, yes, no, there's several flooding in. One incredible experience that I was able to have was to travel to South Korea with Cynthia Newland and Laura Morton.
Cool,
that was in between my sophomore and junior year. And so things like that, you just never expect that you'll be able to do in your life, but the Lord puts you in paths with other people who just invite you in. And we did so many things there. Just the connections that we made and opportunities that we had just in performance and in ministry. And that was really wonderful. And I'm thinking also of tons of different improv jams that we would have where I learned to love it and kind of always loved it, but just the freedom of expression in that way. And then partnering with other people. And I grew a ton, and that's a huge part of the way that I teach and move now. So
that's really cool. Yeah. It kind of reminds me of worship as well, in the sense that it is like just kind of in the moment sometimes, and you're just kind of out of your comfort zone and have to just go for it and like see what comes. So that's so cool. I love it. Definitely remember those improv jams for sure.
Unforgettable.
So after Bellhaven, what was your next step or next part of your journey?
Well, I went through the whole process of trying to find auditions for companies and not really feeling huge amounts of motivation to put too much energy into it. And also I just kind of lived my life based on the Lord leading me.
Yeah.
Which makes some people frustrated, but he's just so wonderful, and it always leads me to where I'm supposed to be. So I moved back home to Tennessee and taught at my home studio that I grew up at, and was able to just take a season of learning again, but in a different way. So I was teaching a ton and nannying and just I was just put in these places of kind of leadership a little bit, as much as a dance teacher can be. But, they're for students. And so I was really excited to pour into them coming fresh out of college. Yeah. Because I was huge in ideas and thinking and concepts, and teaching modern classes were my favorite because I was sharing these new things with the kids and teaching them about partnering and improv and composition and just all of these different ways that they can move and create, which was so fun. So I was there for 2 years back in Tennessee, and kind of went through this strange, lonely season being surrounded by community at school, and then all of a sudden moving back home, where you kind of have to figure out how to approach the people in your life that knew you when you were a kid, and you're not a kid anymore.
That's so hard.
It's really hard.
It's kind of it's a weird experience. I feel like I've had some of that in my life as well.
Yes.
Yeah. Trying to figure out, because I feel like in college it's so built in with community. You're living with these people, or you're around them literally every day for hours and hours, and you're eating together and, whatever. And then, just finding like, how do you build community? And like you said, I'm curious to hear how that was for you, like trying to intentionally like build that, I guess.
Right. Yeah. Yes. I had a couple heart friends at home, but that was it compared to the way I was at school, which was all of my friends are heart friends. And I'm in the middle of everybody and loving everyone all the time, giving tons of my heart. And I think the Lord brought me into this season of like an in-between season where he could heal my heart from being given so much. Like this kind of, he just enclosed me into himself. And I had all of this time and brain space while being at home. I was able to set up my room like the way that I wanted to. And my mom gave me so much freedom to just figure things out. And of course, support and everything too. But
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So community didn't really happen in that season like you would imagine, because I was working through what my personal connection with the Lord looked like. Because not that I lost it at school, but that was not my main focus and main source of satisfaction.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But then in that season, that was all that I could hold on to, it seemed like. So personally, that was what it looked like.
Yeah.
Is that like reconnection with him to my heart, which I had as a kid, and this vibrant imagination, secret place life with him growing up through middle school, high school. And then he was reminding me of it again in that in-between season.
Yeah. That's so good. And probably really hard, but also so good. Yeah. So kind of find that reconnection, and you mentioned about walking in a way that you are just letting the Lord lead you. And just practically speaking, what does that look like for you? I know it may be different from time to time, but
good question. Yeah, it definitely depends on the season. Actually, oftentimes the majority of it, when I'm kind of, okay, Lord, it's on you.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do next. He will so wonderfully bring people into my life that is like they cleared the way, or he used them to call me in or to push me forward, whatever is needed. And so this is kind of a good segue to how I got connected with Jeanna.
Oh yeah,
Vance.
Perfect.
And because that's what he did. So before I got connected with her, it was in the summer of 2018, which was in between the 2 years of me being at home.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I almost moved to Nashville to kind of justify my life, I guess, and say that I was doing something important. Like I'm on the right trajectory. I am. There was a church there that I loved. There was a company there that I was kind of maybe dreaming about working with, but my goal was to go and just not have anything specific, but just to see what happened. And I was really kind of striving for it. So in that way, I wasn't really leaning into the Lord.
Right. Yeah.
And letting him lead me in that. So then literally 2 days later, after I go see a house, this is just the start of our amazing story that he gave us.
Yeah.
Jeanna came to my hometown, my studio, to teach at our summer intensive.
So amazing. Yeah.
And I had known her from Dance Revolution because we went to that when I was a kid. And she was my favorite teacher because she taught ballet, and I just
Yeah.
loved her from a distance.
Uh-huh.
And so then she was there and we reconnected, and she remembered me, which is crazy
That is so cool.
because of all the kids that she saw.
Yeah, I'm sure it was like thousands of students over the years.
Yeah,
So yeah.
totally. So there was some kind of spirit connection that the Lord gave us and her specifically in seeing me. And she just opened up her heart to me and brought me in and gave me space to open up my heart to her. And the Lord just connected us divinely. And I always imagined what our spirits were doing in that moment, which no one else would be able to see. And, you know, that feeling of, oh my goodness, I found you. I didn't know I was looking for you, but I found you.
Yeah.
So it was one of those moments. And she invited me to come move to Houston and join the company. And I felt like, well, really overwhelmed about it. And because I was like, I was going to move to Nashville and I thought I was doing this plan, but Lord, clearly you are opening up a pathway for me. And with this person that I totally admire and would love to work with. And so I waited a year. That was the second year of me being there, and just finished out commitments at my studio, which I'm so glad I did because that year ended up being so fruitful. And because I knew what I was doing. So yeah, then in the fall of 2019, I moved to Houston to start Dancing with Open Sky because the Lord was just leading.
Just made a way.
Yeah.
That's so powerful. And so recently I've been reading the book Find Your People by Jenny Allen, and maybe we'll chat more about community as we go through. But there's a quote in there that I think she's quoting someone else that's like, you know, we're all kind of like looking for people who are looking for us or something like that. Yeah. And I just love that was kind of one of those moments of that's like, we didn't realize it, but we were looking for each other, you know?
Yeah. Yep.
So cool. So beautiful. So you moved to Houston, and that's a big shift in and of itself, I'm sure. I mean, when you're moving to college, that's a big shift, but you're kind of like, you know, I don't know, in like a little bit of a safe haven, literally like Bellhaven. I don't know. It's like, like, totally. You know, this little community of its own. So moving to Houston, what did that look like for you?
Yeah, it actually was super joyful.
Yeah.
And it was hard, of course, to leave certain people and things in Tennessee, but I was so excited about what the Lord was doing. And yeah, the summer before I went on a mission trip with Open Sky just for my first official thing with them.
Yeah.
And that just confirmed so much. It's like, oh, that's it. I'm done. I found my place. This is it.
Nice.
I'm so thankful for that. So it was easy.
That's good. Yay. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. I'm super grateful for that.
Yeah. I know we've had Jeanna on the show, and she was talking kind of about the beginnings of Open Sky and how it's kind of evolved over time. And at that point, was it more of a full-time company, or were they still more project-based?
That time, it was a full-time company. I think we were dancing 3 days a week and doing projects here and there.
Yeah.
So, and outreaches and stuff. But that year twice we went to a women's prison. Yeah. It's funny because it wasn't actually a full year. It was really just 6 months because then COVID happened.
Oh, that's right.
So that was my first year of that. And all of a sudden we were in quarantine and everything stopped. Whoa. So that was a huge surrender. I had just created, I think it was the week before Project Dance Houston, which we were supposed to be performing at and premiering a piece that I had choreographed, that I had poured my heart and soul into. Wow. And it never got performed. Yeah. So yeah, that, you know, just things like that. That's like, well, okay, you're doing something different than we thought. I guess we're
like, what was that about?
Weaning moment. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. So then, pandemic hits, and I know Jeanna and her family moved up to Dallas. So, and I'm pretty sure you moved with them, right?
Yes, I did.
That's so cool.
Yeah. I started living with them during quarantine, and then they invited me to just stay. I knew I was going to move with them for the company to help her pioneer the Dallas location.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, I had started doing more administration and helping her with whatever she needed. And so it was just a natural fit for me to make my way with her because I moved to be a part of the company and to support her. So it just was easy to say.
Yeah, it seemed like what needed to happen, the natural fit, like you said. That's so cool. So how did you see God at work through the pandemic, like in that time, in that season, specifically with Open Sky or just like in general, either way?
Yeah, it was a hard season. I know it was for everybody. Through Open Sky, I saw so much growth, actually. It's crazy because that's when, talk of expansion started happening in this
which is
season.
Like so counterintuitive, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yes, season of everything shutting down and decreasing and falling apart. The Lord's growing us.
So cool.
And even in certain things like activities that we would do during quarantine, like Jeanna and I resodded their backyard.
Oh, wow.
Like put grass down. Just, we woke up one day and we're like, okay, let's do this because it needed grass. So just things like that were such a reflection of what was happening in the company as well. So in order to put the grass down, we had to like dig up roots that were still in the ground of the yard and, do all this raking and laying down more soil. And so the Lord was meeting us so much through all of that. And like just the prophetic act of digging up roots in order to lay down new life.
Whoa. Yeah.
Yeah. It was crazy. So then
like
of course,
so deep.
Yeah. I know. I was like, oh, Jesus, thanks. So then he's teaching us that in personally too. And so that was actually, I realized this in the middle of it, but that was the longest time that I'd ever been since I was 4 without dancing consistently.
Wow. Yeah.
Which one I'm really thankful for. He's just given me longevity and I'm forever grateful for that. But that was a very weird realization. And also it was sad and strange, but not as much as I thought it would be because I saw him building new things in me. Like I wasn't just a dancer anymore. That's when he started training my mind and my body in a different way. Like we started working out a lot during that time and, just eating differently. And then he started like gearing up my brain for this administrative work and this assistant position that I am in now. And yeah, looking back now, thinking about it, he definitely started it in that season.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just had space and energy for it. And so even in like the act of working out, building muscle, he was doing that in my mind.
Yeah. It's interesting how it tends to be so interconnected,
Yeah,
those things,
for sure.
Physical, mental, spiritual,
Yeah.
Yeah. So when did you officially like start stepping into sort of that executive assistant role?
Yeah, that started officially last spring.
Okay.
So maybe it's been almost a year now. Yeah. So it was just an official, like, okay, Grace is on staff now because she's doing as much as she is. And it's so fun for me. I remember the day that I realized that the mission of Open Sky was branded on my heart. Like I saw this image of the Lord literally branding me with what Open Sky is, the mission. Even it was this picture of the logo. It's like piercing me and like seeping into my whole being. And I feel so confident of that it's him. And I mean, I could do this forever.
Yeah.
It's such a joy and supporting Jeanna and what she's doing too, because I believe in it so much. I believe in her giftings and her leadership. And as I'm kind of coming underneath her as her armor bearer and her, right hand, it's a huge honor for me to be running alongside her and and having vision for how the company can grow as a nonprofit organization, especially as we're coming up with all of these different locations around the nation. It's so fun. We're starting our 4th location in the fall.
Wow. So y'all are in Houston, Dallas, and then what are the other 2 now?
Yeah, last fall we established a Connecticut location.
Yes,
and
with
then
Jesse,
fall,
right? Jesse
yes,
Winters.
Jesse Winters.
Oh, so cool.
He's so great. And then we're going to have a Colorado Springs location.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
So yeah, just through a connection that Jeanna had there, and the Lord opened a door.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So cool. Like you said, it's kind of crazy, but have you heard or seen the book Crazy Faith?
Yes.
And he's like, it's only crazy until it happens.
Yep.
Like, it's true, but so cool how God will just like flip things on their head, and just like do the opposite of what we think. And when things are shutting down, he is expanding, and
right.
So cool seeing that happen through Open Sky. Mm-hmm. And I know like going into a leadership role as well, it can be kind of like exciting and overwhelming. And there's lots of emotions that go into that and just new experiences and stuff. But what has that looked like for you stepping into this role more, I guess, actively leading alongside Jeanna or with Jeanna?
Yeah, it has been a journey. My natural tendency and personality is to kind of be more of a cheerleader and support the main person, which in a way, this feels so natural. Yes. But then as she's calling me up higher and giving me more authority, I have to be bold and courageous and direct in my communication, and also free to call other people up as well.
Yeah.
So I've had, of course, the spiritual warfare around gifting and calling is overwhelming sometimes. And the Lord's actually changing my perspective on that a lot recently. But in the past year, as I've been saying yes to stepping up in leadership and authority, I've been getting hit really hard with these lies about identity and things like, you don't even know what you're doing. You're ruining everything, that kind of deal, where other people on the outside would hear that and say, are you kidding, Grace? Like, do you see that you're walking in your exact anointing that you have been growing into your whole life?
And they're seing all the dots connecting, like, oh, you did, you've grown in this area and this area, and now it's coming together. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And in this community that the Lord's given me, I'm surrounded by people who are reminding me of that, which I'm really grateful for.
Yes. So needed,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And then if you're realizing, you're partnering with the Lord, saying yes to him. And then in that, I'm having these revelations of my kingdom identity and how if we died with Christ, we were raised again to life with him. And this new mindset of resurrection life that is all throughout scripture, that we're the righteousness of Christ and a holy priesthood, chosen nation. Like he's calling us up higher also. And thinking about it like that, then all of these lies about my identity that have been coming at me like arrows are nothing. And so it's just this mindset shift of, what's this warfare really about? It's just the enemy trying to distract us from keeping our gaze fixed on the Lord.
Yeah.
Because he's already defeated death and the enemy and all of its sting. So yeah, that's been something that I've been somewhat struggling through in different moments in the emotion of it all. But then in moments like this, when I'm sharing more from a testimony place or an encouragement to other people, or, just sharing what the Lord's done, it seems so sure. And I feel tall and confident in it.
That's so cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's really valuable, just the thought that, or what we're talking about right now, because so many people, I think, deal with that, with, the lies that come at us and the insecurities that we feel, or inadequacy, the imposter syndrome, those kind of things. And and I love what you're saying about, like, it's a mindset shift. It's looking at it from a different perspective. And, has there been anything in particular that's really helped in those moments where you are having to stand against the lies or like fight that battle? Anything that maybe if someone's walking through that right now, that would be like a good tool, or good weapons, I guess, to use in that fight?
Yeah. I'm thinking of a couple. One of them is honesty and vulnerability.
Ooh, yes.
Because my tendency is to hide my weaknesses from other people, because I don't want them to think that I'm unable to help them when they need it. And because if they see me as being weak, then they won't see me as able.
Like someone to follow. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of leaders deal with that like, I don't want to show my, like you said, my weakness or my vulnerability, because then, like, why would people want to follow, how can I be their leader or whatever, or how do I have credibility or things like that? And it's kind of how we end up staying in a little closed off place, I guess.
Yeah. So I've seen so much fruit in being honest. And that's actually just something that I admire about Jeanna and the way that she leads, is through that vulnerability. And that also creates this ability to know one another. Such a key in my life is intimacy with the Lord and with people. And it's just this deep knowing that is cultivated when we're honest. And I think if people are encountering those lies against identity and gifting and calling, anything, being honest about it, one with the Lord and with other people that you feel safe with. I have been really glad that I have people around me I can do that with. And I'm learning how to do it more, because they want to know me. They want to know what I'm going through and feeling. So, and then another one that I thought of, another tool, is actually kind of the opposite of that in a way, which has also really helped me, is finding alone time.
Oh, yeah.
And when I'm feeling emotional or attacked in the spirit, it helps me so much to sit quiet by myself and let my mind think through, like talking myself through the emotions, or talking through okay, when did I start thinking this? I know it's not true. What's actually true? Okay, like just this thought process of overcoming. So that's my other tool.
Yeah, that's really good. Kind of both sides of the spectrum in a way. Like, get that community around you, and being open, but also taking that time alone to really process. Yeah. Do you journal?
I do.
Stuff like that. Nice.
Yeah. That helps a lot.
That's awesome. Yeah. And processing, I probably should journal more for sure. But getting those thoughts out and super helpful for sure. Yeah. And community is huge. I know we kind of have touched on it throughout the whole conversation, but just like, the value of having those people that fully know who you are and are in your corner, willing to fight with you, So good.
It's huge.
Yeah. So as we kind of start to wrap up today, I just wanted to hear if there's anything on your heart that you'd like to share with other artists.
Yeah. I was really praying about this question when you sent it to me earlier. And, there's so many different things that I could say.
Yeah.
But I feel like something that's become really huge in my heart is this idea of finding your place. And something that's, changed my life has been trusting the Lord to bring me into my place in community, in work, in dance, and being willing to let a company, an organization, a group of people become knitted to you.
Yeah.
I feel like this sometimes in the dance world, and maybe it's like this in the corporate world. I just have never been a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
We come in and out so much of places that I've noticed that people don't usually take time to become rooted with a group of people. And I think there's so much value in doing that. And then the things that the Lord cultivates in that as your roots grow deeper are things like honesty and vulnerability and trust in that, and vision, and the ability to carry what the organization is carrying. Like, you come underneath and support so that the group as a whole can move forward and have impact in the kingdom. That's what I'm seeing in Open Sky right now, is that the people who have come underneath us are picking up the mission of Open Sky, which is to use the arts to share the gospel.
Yeah.
And because there are people supporting us, we're able to move forward. And the Lord's making this runway underneath us right now so that we have space to grow. But I'm kind of imagining kind of like the Flintstones, where they run in their little car. I'm seeing that, like, Open Sky as an airplane, and people coming underneath us and running and doing that and then taking off on this runway.
That's a cool image.
Because people have said yes and let their roots grow down into that. And then it cultivates also things like honor, which that's a huge part of my heart too. And I could talk forever about that. Just what I've learned about honor and honoring where you've come from. Kind of like that scripture that says, look to the rock from which you were hewn.
Yeah.
And how much the Lord values honor, and how he, just pours his favor over it. And like, I, for example, could honor Jeanna for the rest of my life, and could honor all of these people, Mary and Michael Cadle, Andrea Camacho. She spoke so much into me. She's the director of the Center School of Dance. And, just the people in your life that have paved the way for you. And so many people in the Christian dance world, oh my goodness, people like Vincent and Abigail Hardy, people like Cynthia Newland, Krista Bauer, who's now the chair of Bellhaven, like all of these people. And that we don't realize, I feel like the generation under me and some of mine don't necessarily realize the effort that has gone into paving the way in the church, in the Christian dance world. And I'm thinking of people like Jeff and Natalie Lewis, Randall Flynn, all of these incredible pillars that deserve honor just because of what they've walked through. So we don't have to walk through it in learning and growing in what sharing the kingdom looks like through dance. So I feel like, growing roots into organizations, companies, letting yourself do that and be present and say yes to what they believe in. And then at the same time, honoring where the roots have come from. And, just the people in authority that you've had in your life.
Yeah. What does honoring look like for you?
Yeah. I've been trying to figure that out recently.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it for me is saying thank you.
Yeah. So simple, but so powerful, right?
Yeah. And in an honest way. Like, I've messaged a couple people in my life, people who used to teach my Sunday school class, who taught me about the fruits of the Spirit, who taught me about how to partner my imagination with the Lord. And because I use that all the time now, and I stand on so much of it, like just saying thank you to these people who poured into you. So in my life, that's, thank you for giving me something that was close to your heart, because now it's close to mine. And I'm able to share that with other people, and it continues this seed sowing. Honoring the seed because someone chose to give it to you. And
right.
of course, like as a dance teacher, you're scattering seed everywhere, and wherever it lands, it lands. And if it grows there, that's amazing. And if it doesn't, which is the majority of the time, unfortunately, that's okay. But someone is going to catch on. Yeah. And I want to be the one that people pour into, and I want to catch on, and I want to say thank you in honor, and then be able to share the other seed with, the next generation. And so then it keeps going. And that's what the Lord's about, is this generation upon generation.
I love that so much. That's so good.
Yeah.
Yes. Love your thoughts. And one question that I like to ask everyone kind of towards the end, just for fun, is what is one of your favorite things right now?
Yes. Okay. I have a little list right here, because I knew that this was going to be the question that I got stumped on in the moment. So I was really thinking about it before.
Nice. I love it.
Right now, some of my favorite things, I can't just pick one.
Yes. It's hard to pick one.
Yes. I really love working in the kitchen. It's become a fun thing for me. I love finding new recipes and learning and growing like that. Also, I love working out, like using my body and learning about how to support different muscles and how to build strength. That's been a huge thing for me recently.
That's super fun.
And also, I love the feeling, one of my favorite things is the feeling of going to bed at night with the excitement for my morning quiet time. Ooh. It's been so sweet recently in this season. I have my coffee and my time with Jesus, and that's definitely a highlight of my life right now.
That's so good. And I love that, the anticipation, like going to bed, and that's going to be what I get to wake up to. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. I love all of those. Those are great. Well, this has been so good. I really literally could just like keep going on talking for hours, because
I love it.
It's so lovely. And I'm like, we do need to have like a whole thing on just like honor and what that looks like every day. And because I love that thought. And I think it's something we don't talk about a whole lot in our current culture and society and everything. So I think that's really powerful, to focus in on. And just love hearing your heart for the Lord, for the work of Open Sky, and just how God is moving. So I would love to let people know how they could connect with you and maybe learn more about you, and also Open Sky, and just connect into the mission of what y'all are doing. So what would be the best way to do that? Yeah,
well, the best way to connect with Open Sky is to follow us on Instagram.
Cool.
We are, building so quickly. So we give all of our updates and everything there. So our handle is at Open Sky Arts. And then our website is openskyarts.com. And then my Instagram, if you want to follow me, you can.
Yes.
I'm posting more on Open Skies, but my handle is cgrace_Miller.
Love it. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Yay. Well, you were just so much fun to hang with. And I wish we lived in the same city still, because I'd be like, hey, let's go grab coffee in person. But whenever you're in town, or if I come up that way, we should definitely get together. That would be really fun.
Yes.
Yay. Well, thank you so much, Grace.
Hey, thank you too, Rachel. This was so great. I love all the things that you're doing. It's so fun to be able to have a place where artists are coming together to hear from each other. And so thanks for cultivating that.
Isn't Grace just the sweetest, you guys? I love her so much, and it was so much fun getting to really know her on a deeper level through our conversation today. I hope that this encourages you and helps to inspire you as you go about the rest of your week. Thank you so much for listening, whether you just found the podcast or if you've been listening from episode 1. You guys are incredible, and I especially want to give a shout out to our patrons who are helping to make this podcast possible. If you're interested in being a patron of the show, you can check out creativeimpactpodcast.com/Patreon. That's creativeimpactpodcast.com/Patreon. Check it out and see some of the behind the scenes and extra content that's available for our patrons. You can also go to our website, which is creativeimpactpodcast.com, to find all the links, the full show notes, and additional resources. I would love to hear from you if you want to send a message on social media or even leave a review for the show. I definitely read all of those, and it just means so much to get to hear from you. Again, thank you so much for listening to the Creative Impact Podcast. The music for the show was produced by Michael Cash. Until next time, remember that you were designed to create. You were made to inspire. Continue living with purpose and making an impact. See you next time, friends.